Last but certainly not least, the namesake for our exhibit, Maya Angelou. Take a minute and think about this woman before I speak, and think about all the things that you know that this woman did in her lifetime. And now that you've had a moment to think about it, listen to some of the information I have about her. Maya Angelou was born on April the 4th, 1928. That's the same year my mother was born too. Her birth name was Marguerite Ann Johnson, known to the world as you call her Maya Angelou. Her older brother, Bailey, gave her that first name, Maya, and Angelou she took from her first husband's name, who was a Greek. His name was Tosh Angelou. She was born in St. Louis, Missouri. However, her parents divorced when she and her older brother were very young. And so the mother sent her to live with her grandmother in Stamps, Arkansas. However, upon her return to live with her mother at the age of 7, she was raped by her mother's boyfriend. Once he was released from jail, a group of men, including her brother, put him to death. Maya believed that her confession of the crime, she was responsible for his death, and it put her into a trauma state in which she stopped speaking for nearly 6 years. Her being mute lasted until her early teens. Through the efforts of both her grandmother and one of her special teachers, Maya slowly regained her voice. And what a voice that was. While she recovered, it was evident Maya loved the printed word and loved reading. Throughout her childhood, she wrote essays, poetry, and kept many journals. No matter what activities were put before her, she did her best. But her first love, again, was the printed word. She did not complete high school because she became a teen mother at the age of 16. In 1944, she gave birth to a boy who she named Guy Johnson. From that point on, she worked at various jobs to support herself and her child. In 1952, she married a Greek named Tosh Angelou. With her husband's last name and her nickname from her brother, her pen name became Maya Angelou. Over the years ahead, Maya and her son traveled around the world, and she met many interesting people and took on many projects, such as with Malcolm X, Dr. King, and Nelson Mandela, just to name a few. Over the years, Maya and her son traveled around the world and made their mark at certain committees and tasks that there are many records to show some of the projects became such a great success that many of them are still in place today. Here are a few of her accomplishments. In San Francisco, she became the first female black cable car conductor. You know those little cable cars that go up down the hill? They didn't want to employ her because of her color, but she was persistent. She came every day for nearly a month and sat in that office until they couldn't stand her standing there. She won a dance scholarship for learning how to dance the calypso. And she was in an off-Broadway production called Calypso Heat. And she also released an album called The Calypso, Miss Calypso. And I've seen photographs of her too. Worked with Dr. King and Dr. Malcolm X and also Nelson Mandela, as I said before. Now this woman didn't finish high school, but she was bestowed several honors, where she taught at numerous universities and left her mark there. Learned to speak 6 different languages: Spanish, French, Hebrew, Italian, and one of the languages from Ghana called Mandela. I'm not sure if I pronounced it right. And of course, English. Not bad for a woman who didn't finish school. She became the first black woman to have a screenplay used to produce a film. I'm not familiar with this movie, it was called George. Won awards such as the Pulitzer, the Tony, and 4 Grammys. First African-American woman to have a non-fiction bestseller, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Maya was the first African-American poet to read at a presidential inauguration. In 1993, she read On the Pulse of the Morning at Bill Clinton's inauguration. In 2010, President Obama awarded her with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And of course, we cannot forget Maya Angelou's gift for poetry and quotes. She is often quoted by many people today. Here are a few. Try to be a rainbow in someone's cloud. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like the air, I rise. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Never make someone a priority when all you are in them is Never make someone a priority when all you are to them is an option. She wrote over 50 different quotes, not to mention the poems. Recently, I've added this because I just found this out the other day. Our monument is currently being fabricated by artists Lava Thomas and Wawa Foundry, and is scheduled to be installed sometime this year in 2024. The design is a book featuring Maya Angelou's likeness on one side, and at the base it says, "Still I Rise." This is not the only monument, but I saw a photograph of it and it's huge. So I'm looking forward to seeing that myself. Now, on the table, I have several dolls. I can't stand
Let me help you.
a long time, but you know when you're not 18 anymore. Okay, let's start over there with Billie Holiday. I collect paper dolls, and I've gone several conventions, but as you know, I collect only black paper dolls. The gentleman who did this is from Jamaica, and he lives in Ontario, Canada. He made that one specially for me. That's the only one like that one. You won't find it in a book anywhere. Hattie McDaniel was done by Franklin Mint. Here's the thing. They did all the characters from Gone with the Wind, and they did a limited number of hers. Guess who outsold the rest? And when they realized they were missing opportunity, they reissued her. I left work one day. You know how it turns dark at 5 o'clock? I didn't care. I rode all the way out there to Lutherville to get that doll. I was happy as I could be. My mother said, "Where were you?" I said, "I had to go get Hattie." And Hattie, even though she has got recognition for being the first African-American woman to get an Oscar, that was a gifted woman. She composed. She had 2 cookbooks. She had 3 husbands. She also could dance. She could also dance and sing. And her brother was an actor too, and I didn't realize it. He was in several movies. I don't have a picture of it. If I showed you, you'd say, "Oh, that's her brother." Her father was a Civil War hero, and she was the last of 13 children. I know. Also, on the other side of her is Rosa Parks. There are 2 dolls there. That's done by Mattel. I think maybe you all have seen her in the stores. And the other one is Cheryl Bruce's doll, done by Gloria Roan. She's an artist. She did her interpretation of Rosa Parks as well. Here, the lady in the uniform is Betsy Coleman, black aviator. She had to go to Europe to get her license because they wouldn't do it here in the United States. Boy, could I name quite a few of noted black people who had to go to Europe to get recognition. Here's my girl here, Flojo, Florence Journey. Girlfriend ran the track with long fingernails, painted colors, lace stockings, left them in the breeze. She and her husband came to Coppin and donated money for the gymnasium, which didn't get, they didn't build it until several years later, but I went to that. And I took one of my dolls with me and had her sign the box. She was so delighted. I didn't know that the doll had outfits until Angie sold hers, and I had all the outfits that were produced. They didn't advertise our dolls on commercials either. Maya Angelou, I'll go a little bit further with her later, but I do have a copy of her book, and they wanted to ban her book. Not now, but when the book first released, because she described in detail her experiences, even the rape. And so they thought it was inappropriate, but it became such a bestseller that, again, they reissued it. Maya Angelou, The Phenomenal Woman, has I Rise and The Phenomenal Woman and several other poems. All her writings are so inspirational. You can't stop. And then a lot of children in school, when they would sign poems, I would give them excerpts. It was too long for one child, so I broke it up into pieces, and they would say. Over here in the silver is Oprah Winfrey. I didn't see the movie, but I think it was Stitching Time. Yes. Now, when I collect celebrity dolls, I buy two. I borrowed this doll from a club member named Marie Green. But you have people now who commission do makeovers for dolls, and they'll take a doll and then have to repaint it and make them look so realistic. They look like the person should walk off the table and breathe. If she jumps off that table, I'm leaving. In the back with the shawl is Sojourner Truth. Vicki Forbes, our club member, contributed to the exhibit. On this side is Harriet Tubman. The artist who did this for around, I can't think of her name, but she lives in Texas. And she donated to the African American Museum in Philadelphia. Barbara White was the curator. And she told Barbara never to sell this doll, just use it in a museum. Well, when Barbara started dismantling her museum, I told Barbara, if you have any dolls to sell, and one of them had to be that Moses doll, I want it. So I had to contact the artist, and I got permission, so I bought the doll. And boy, was I happy. Over here we have Madam C.J. Walker. Every time I see my old straightening comb, I think about her. I still had mine. It's the same one. It's the wooden handle, the iron thing. I said, why don't you throw that thing away? It holds too many memories. My mother scorching my ears. Ida B. Wells, the lady who was had a newspaper and also fought against lynchings. Here's someone else has this doll here too. Tamara, Ella Fitzgerald, the lady who do the scanning. A tasket. That was before my time then. I just know that's what they used to sing. And here's Naomi Osaka, who was a tennis star, part Korean, part African American. No, Jamaican. It's Jamaican, excuse me, I'm sorry. And as you can see from the collection of the persons here, we collect dolls that have a history. What doll? That was Deborah. She did Fannie Lou Taylor. He was a soror, by the way, ladies. Yes. Needs to say. And all the dolls have a story. They have made their mark in history, but some of them have unique stories. And we collect them just not for the sake of the doll itself, but as we told today stories with the dolls. Children should have these dolls too. And even though some little girls like the action figures, these are the type of dolls you pass on if you can. Because as I said, children are inspired by what they see. And if they see someone doing something they're interested in, then it inspires them. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be a ballerina. That was my whole talk. And the one thing I remember my father saying is, how many black ballerinas have you seen? Mm-hmm. And that inflated my little balloon. But if I had been determined that's something I wanted to do, who knows where I could have gone. Mm-hmm. But now, we do have people now that do things to help inspire our children. they look at their parents as examples, but they also look at people they see on TV and other places. So Charm City Dollar Club was founded under the principle to collect dolls, black dolls, but also to inspire people through the teaching of our own people's history by using the dolls. I want to thank Pat Heidelberg for seeing that we got here today. She remembered me and my habit, my addiction. The Charm City Dollar Club slogan is, "We are a group of dedicated dollaholics, sharing our love of dolls with others." And so when I think it was in August that she called me, it was early on. And so, Pat, thanks. We enjoyed coming here. I hope people take a moment before they leave to look at some of the dolls. But at this time, do you have any questions you'd like to ask me or other members of the club about the collection that you see here before you, or anything about pertaining to dolls, period? Don't be shy, because if you're thinking of somebody else, the lady all the way in the back, I don't know.
Are they for sale? Any dolls are they for sale?
Oh, okay.
That's a hard no.
On the table up here, we don't have a lot. We have some issues of Doll News, which is a periodical that the UFBC issues to its members. We get one for the 4 seasons of the year. You see advertisements for dolls, but some of the dolls came out of toy stores, I think. Angie Nellis told you to get at Walgreens and Target.
No, Walmart.
Walmart. Okay, Walmart, Target. There are some people, there are not as many doll shops as there used to be, but you can do a lot of damage online. Believe me.
However, some of us periodically have doll sales, like I'll be having a doll sale in the fall, so if you contact the club, they can probably tell you if anybody's having doll sales. And Vicky Forbes here is a doll dealer.
Yes, to furbish will have it.
Yeah, right.
But if you have nieces, and boys collect dolls too. 'Cause you see these dolls here, oh, this is nothing. If we would have if you came to one of our other exhibits where the other members came with their dolls, child, this room would be filled. You would be able to move with the dolls we have. And never ask a doll collector how many dolls they have, because they don't know. They do not know. They think they know. They can give you an estimate, but the true number,
I have my own table.
And she has many, 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 many more.
I
Yeah.
have a question. Well, rather, I'd like to, hopefully you can answer. I have a doll, a black doll, and my mother had that doll. It was given to her by her cousin. The cousin died, the mother gave the doll to my mother. And when we moved, I asked my mother where was the doll. She couldn't really kind of remember. Now this doll is a black doll. It had no real hair. It looked like it was about a 6-month, 9-month-old baby. She remembers bringing that doll back to Baltimore, and people were looking at her because that looked like a real baby she was carrying. She said she couldn't be no more than about 10. My mother died at 94.
Wow.
And I have that doll.
Oh. Found her?
Look, when my mother started, she wanted to sell her house. And we was cleaning out her closet. And when I saw because I used to see the doll sitting on her bed. And then one day I didn't see it anymore. And I went like,
You have a picture of her?
of the doll?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh.
But the thing is, I call myself taking the doll. I found the doll. The doll, the legs or something had been torn because the body was like, was stuffed with, but the arms, the face was made out of, I guess like, whatever the dolls back in the days was.
Composition.
Yes. And the thing was, I said, where is it? Well, she couldn't remember. And pulling out things out of her closet, I went like, I found the doll. And I politely grabbed the doll, put it in a couple of plastic bags that we no longer use, but I put it in the trunk of my car. So now you know, if she died at 90, and I had it for a long time, and somebody had it before her, I'm sure this doll is about 100 years old. I
Big
took
black
that
baby
dog
bubbles.
to my brother's. And I'm gonna call my brother when I leave here and go, what did you do with her dog? Because if somebody up here can help me,
Identify the dog.
yes. And actually, when I took it to somebody, instead of it coming back looking like a 9-month-old baby, they had, you could put 18-month-old clothes on. I'm like, that ain't the dog I gave you. The only reason why I recognized it was because of the face. He did not change the face of that dog.
Okay, let me say this. There are people who have expertise in identifying dogs, and dogs can be made out of all type of materials, cloth, bisque, porcelain, wood. So we have to actually see the dog, and then you also have people who appraise the dog. So we have a few people in the club who could help you with that, and there are also reference books. Now, we have in our club a Mrs. Forbes, she's here today. And if you can take a picture of the dog and maybe send it to her, or you just connect with Vicki. Vicki, raise your hand so she'll know you are.
Okay,
And maybe she can assist you.
all right, thank you so
Okay.
much.
I would like to see the picture of the dog too, so Vicky, when you get it.
Okay. Any other
There's
questions?
a question here, right here.
I know all of these dogs are people, you know, personalities and everything that are famous. What about the cat? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. I wanted to know about the, I forgot the name of the dog, but back in the 79, 80,
Cabbage Patch?
Cabbage Patch.
Oh, yes.
What about the Cabbage Patch dog?
There are different values for different dogs. There are a lot of things that determine which dogs are valuable. There are some dogs in my collection now, I will never get what I paid for them. But there are other dogs that have escalated. You just heard someone say, one of the dogs that they had was a Mattel dog, the Johnson woman who worked at NASA. When that dog was issued, you probably get it for maybe $30, $35. But now the price is escalated. So sometimes availability has to do with the value. It has to do with also the person who made the dog, or the occasion when the dog was made. And also you have dogs that are mass produced. They make thousands and thousands and thousands of them. Well, the value for that, you may not get anything for it. Unless that person does something phenomenal that everybody wants it. Case in point, everybody knows O.J. Simpson, okay? When O.J. Simpson was in the news for positive things, I'll put it that way, everybody wanted that dog. They paid about $40, $60 for it. Now, when the trial came up, when he was under suspicion for murdering his wife and another gentleman, the price of that dog plummeted. I also had the dogs of Sammy Sosa and the other guy that were in competition for batting, home runs, and so forth. I was at a flea market trying to sell those dogs. When I bought them, they were in hot demand because they had a gift set. But once they found out drugs was involved in pumping them up, I sold for what I could get. So there are a lot of things to determine what's going to be valuable, what's not going to be valuable. But someone here in the club said, buy what you love. You'll never be unhappy with something you want. It's something that you truly love, whether it becomes valuable or not. If you're the person just to buy dogs so that you can turn them over and sell some money later, it's nothing wrong with that, but it's not as enjoyable as the person who buys the dog because they like the dog. Maybe remind them of somebody that they know. Or like I got to the point now when I can't find something, I commission an artist. If I have extra money, I'll pay them to make the dog of the person that I want, you know? So it's a lot of things into it, you know, everybody gets different type of dogs. Debbie, who did a report on Miss Gorman, she loves cloth dogs. You know, that's her addiction, cloth dogs. When I first started, I didn't collect dogs, I collected teddy bears. So it's whatever turns you on and what you can afford. But again, I've said this before, as African Americans, even the dog world, we were affected in that, you know. There was a time, and I'm sure you all can relate, that you could not find a decent looking black dog. either your mother, grandmother, or somebody would go out the country bringing something back, or they make it themselves, and that's how you got it. The changeover came in the 60s. The Black Panthers, and what's the other group? Self-Reliance Black Group. They started having people produce dolls for our children. Oh, what's the dolls, Angie, you used to have?
Sedanas?
Here's a
Sedan.
Shadana right here.
The sedan. Yeah, back in the 60s after Watts riot. It's a long history, but
And the
anyway.
town helped with this company too.
Right. But the things have changed, but needless to say, our purpose mission always was to promote black dolls. We wanted to see ourselves. Now, someone, I think Ms. Brown has, Ms. Obama. Different companies